ancient world is awakening, and it's here to assist and guide humanity as we enter the new world. If you consider yourself a light worker, starseed, or way shower, you're likely already familiar with some of this information, though you may not yet see how all of the pieces come together. So this video just might reveal profound clues for your journey. It did for me. But no matter who's watching, get ready for a spiritual awakening that will forever change your life. I invite you to join me on a cosmic journey unlike any other. This video will be sort of an embodiment practice to align with the energies of this lunation, as Sagittarius holds the energy of the guru, higher learning and belief systems, as well as luck, exploration, and ascension. I will guide you through an expansive series of information that, although I might make this video a little lengthy, but by the end, you too will feel lucky that you have found this knowledge and like a sage of our times. So stay tuned as we unravel ancient mysteries and profound truths that will give us a glimpse beyond the veil and into the future. But before we talk all about it, I have to say, the current astrology is so rich in meaning, it's beyond words, really. I'm just in awe right now. To be honest, I don't think I would have connected all of these dots had I not been so curious to understand the relevance of this transit on a personal level. But what I feel I was guided to see is like so far beyond individual importance that I had to figure out how I could share what I learned in a digestible and congruent way for all levels of consciousness. In this video, we'll explore the depths of this exquisitely benevolent lunation cycle, the importance of both Venus and Jupiter as archetypes in this cosmic tale, the current astrological aspects, as well as the Sabian symbolism involved. Then prepare to be guided by the gentle glow of the Pleiades star family as we delve into their timeless wisdom and uncover the secrets of our cosmic heritage. This will then travel us back in time to the lost continent of Lemuria, where ancient truths lie buried beneath the sea of consciousness and the sands of time. Doing so, we'll discover the profound spiritual significance of Lemurian teachings in our modern world, drawing our attention to the New Earth prophecies and the genetics of the human species. Involving the works of Lee Carroll channeling Cryon on the 24th chromosome, Richard Rudd on the 55th gene key, and Rauhu Ru on the 2027 global mutation and upcoming birth of the Rave children. You might be wondering how all of this is related. Yeah, but one of my favorite things to do is follow the common thread, and let me just say, I am blown away. Like, I feel speechless really, so formulating the expansiveness of this information into a YouTube video seems quite impossible. But to that, I say, challenge accepted. But assembling this knowledge truly was a treat for me, and I am so excited to share it with you. But when we're done, let me know whether or not you think I succeeded at the task at hand. So welcome to Stella Sage, today's cosmic playground of epiphanies and revelations. But before we get started, if you like my shirt, you can get your own at stellasage.com. Now, together, let's empower the collective. Please help me spread the word by liking this video and sharing it with the people you know. And let's keep this conversation flowing in the comments below. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. I think that this is crazy fascinating. Hopefully I'm not alone. Now, get ready to embark on an unforgettable journey of self-discovery and cosmic enlightenment. Let's do this. On May 23rd at 8:52 a.m. CDT, we'll have a full moon at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. A full moon is created when it forms in opposition to the sun, which just so happens to also be conjunct Venus and Jupiter, which both sit at the anaretic 29th degree of Taurus, and forms a sextile to Neptune in Pisces at the same degree. Pluto will also be forming a trine to the sun and a sextile to the moon, creating an aspect pattern in astrology known as a basket. Honestly, this lunation alone is incredibly magnificent and packed with meaning. Let's start by calling attention to the sign Taurus and its significance. Taurus planted the seeds for this lunation cycle with the new moon on May 7th and 8th. That new moon reactivated the recent once-in-a-lifetime Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus that took place at the end of April. This new moon also began a series of conjunctions with the Sun and Venus involving these two high-minded, truth-seeking, freedom-loving planets, making for a potent and benevolent stellium of planets traveling through this sign. Now, it could be beneficial for you to watch my videos on these transits for a deeper look into those energies and this sign and these planets. So I'll leave a link to it in the description below if you're curious. Now, what makes this lunation cycle even more special is the fact that Venus is the ruler of Taurus and the second house in astrology, and thus too, the second degree, the degree point of this full moon. And like I said, on the same day, Venus will form an exact conjunction with Jupiter while in her own sign. But then Jupiter brings his own synchronicities along as the ruler of the sign Sagittarius, making him the planetary ruler of this full moon. Not only that, but this very special conjunction occurs between the planets that are considered in astrology as the two most benefic planets in the sky, making their benevolence even more palpable than typical. And just like a cherry on top, they are forming a harmonious sextile aspect with Neptune in his own domain of Pisces, the sign traditionally ruled by Jupiter and the sign of Venus's exaltation. So you could say this aspect is creating quite the literal definition of a dream team. This transit of Jupiter conjunct Venus is a delightful and auspicious aspect that can manifest abundance, joy, and expansion in matters related to love, money, relationships, creativity, spirituality, and pleasure. And the sextile to Neptune in Pisces is a potent combination that enhances the themes of abundance, harmony, and spiritual connection, particularly in matters related to love, creativity, and intuition. These three planets are all at 29 degrees, which is the final degree point in each sign and is known as a critical degree in astrology, termed the anaretic degree or the degree of fate. It marks a sensitive point of transition between the energy of the current sign and the influence of the next sign. Associated with intensity, urgency, and completion, it carries karmic significance and adds potency to planetary transits, often triggering significant shifts or turning points. Overall, the anaretic degree symbolizes a threshold between endings and beginnings, urging individuals to embrace change, release the past, and prepare for growth and transformation. So I'm just going to mention it for now because it's a loaded topic that deserves its very own video. But Neptune in Pisces is actually sitting at the final degree of the entire zodiac. Neptune, being one of the outer planets in our solar system, is the second to slowest moving planet, taking approximately 165 years to travel through the zodiac. And Neptune is also creating a sextile to Pluto, the slowest moving planet in our solar system, which takes about 248 years to complete a cycle through the zodiac. And these two planets are creating the base of the basket aspect. This planet alone is transforming the collective in ways beyond what we can currently fathom. But I do have a video where I talk all about that too. So if you want to hear more on it, check it out. But what's important for you to understand for today's conversation is how Pluto is now tying in the relevance of Uranus as well. See, Pluto is currently sitting at 2 degrees Aquarius. Again, that Taurus ruled degree of this lunation. But in numerology, the number 29 reduces down to the master number 11 and the number 2. The number 11 is associated with the sign Aquarius and its planetary ruler, Uranus. Isn't it so cool when you start seeing all these synchronicities tying everything together? Well, I think so. So let's keep going because there's a lot of those in this story. Okay, so now let's quickly reference the energies that are forming the base of this basket aspect, as well as the symbolism of the basket itself. Pluto represents intense and transformative energy in astrology. It symbolizes power, regeneration, and evolution, as well as themes of death and rebirth. Pluto's influence is deep and profound. It governs the process of uncovering hidden truths and psychological patterns with a forte in the subconscious realms. Pluto in Aquarius brings a transformative energy to the collective consciousness, emphasizing themes of revolution and regeneration within society. Aquarius is a freedom-loving sign associated with innovation, progressiveness, and humanitarian ideals. And Pluto's presence here intensifies these qualities. Overall, Pluto in Aquarius represents a time of profound transformation and empowerment, where the collective strives to create a more equitable and self-sovereign world. Neptune, in his own domain of Pisces, represents unconditional love and empathy. This transit amplifies the mystical, spiritual, and compassionate energies associated with both Neptune and the sign Pisces. Neptune in Pisces fosters a deepening of intuition, empathy, and creativity, as well as increased sensitivity to the unseen realms and the collective consciousness. There's a strong urge for spiritual exploration, artistic expression, and humanitarian ideals. However, Neptune in Pisces can also bring about a tendency towards escapism, illusion, and confusion, as the boundaries between reality and fantasy blur. But getting to experience Neptune in Pisces is truly a gift. And because this planet moves so slow, it's going to be hovering around this final degree of Pisces for about another year before it transitions out of the sign. So if you use it wisely, this could be a time where you experience a significant amount of spiritual growth. See, because this placement encourages surrender, healing, and transcendence, inviting us to connect with the divine and embrace unity consciousness. Now, overall, the basket serves as a potent symbol of sustenance, protection, and interconnectedness in spiritual traditions worldwide. A basket is known to symbolize themes of nurturing, provision, and protection. It represents the abundance and generosity of Earth, providing sustenance for physical and spiritual nourishment. Additionally, a basket can symbolize protection and security, offering a sense of safety and containment. It can also signify unity and community, as baskets are often woven from natural materials, symbolizing the interconnectedness of all living beings. In astrology, the basket aspect occurs when there is one opposition aspect, 2 trine aspects, and 3 sextile aspects in a chart. And in this aspect pattern, the trines show ability and the sextiles show opportunities that are easily received and used, that are available to balance what is represented by the 2 celestial bodies in the opposition. So with all of that in mind, maybe you'll agree that this aspect pattern makes me think of the Grandma's Magic Suitcase in the Disney Channel original movie Halloween Town. But see, in this case, it's like the luminaries are spotlights attached at the handles and shining light deep into our collective subconscious that grants us the ability to pull out information from some magical place we never thought was even in our reach. And because the planets that are forming the base of this harmonious aspect are Pluto and Neptune, the 2 planets that govern the hidden realms, it's like the universe is delivering right to us a basket of magical goodies, inviting us to just dig right in and see what emerges. Which brings me to my next point, which also foreshadows the upcoming plot twist of this cosmic tale. But its reference stems back to the Sabian symbol of the Taurus new moon. Now, if you've never heard of this before, Sabian symbols are a set of 360 symbolic images, each corresponding to 1 degree of the zodiac, created by astrologer Mark Edmund Jones and clairvoyant Elsie Wheeler in the early 20th century. These symbols are used in astrology as a tool for interpretation, providing insight into themes and energies specific for each degree of the zodiac. Now, the sun and the moon conjoined at 18 degrees Taurus, forming the new moon that began this lunation cycle. And the Sabian symbol for that degree is a newly formed continent. This symbol evokes the image of vast potential and new beginnings, suggesting the emergence of something substantial and fertile. Just as a newly formed continent holds the promise of exploration, growth, and discovery, this symbol indicates a phase of expansion and the birth of fresh opportunities. As the astrologer Jeff Burgess puts it, which I love, by the way, he says this is the symbol for pure receptivity that sponsors spiritual breakthrough. As when the mind is open, then spirit can enter. How beautiful. But before we continue down that rabbit hole, let's talk a bit more about the other Sabian symbols involved in this transit. In this lunation, we see the moon calling our attention to the Sabian symbol for 2 to 3 degrees Sagittarius, which is 2 men playing chess. Overall, this symbol suggests the need to embrace a strategic use of intellect and foresight in navigating this game we call life. It involves thoughtful planning and decision-making processes, and seeking resolution through diplomacy and balance. And interesting enough, we have the sun opposing this perspective with the Sabian symbol for 2 to 3 degrees Gemini, which is the garden of the Tuileries, which is inviting us to appreciate the beauty, elegance, and harmony in our surroundings, to connect with others in shared public spaces, and to find inspiration and tranquility amidst the hustle and bustle of daily life. Now, the way Jeff Burgess explains this symbol is wild because of how it relates to everything we're talking about in this video, which obviously was completely unintentional when he wrote it. So he writes, even though we can touch the depths of unconsciousness and heights of superconsciousness by temporarily suspending the mind's devotion to reason, this cannot last indefinitely. Sooner or later, the grasping mind must structure its perception and create patterns to explain them. This is form, thought form, and it gives rise to rulership and ritual as it centralizes the ego into the discipline of clarity. He calls it crystallization. Bringing to bear the rational mind to explain the mysteries solidifies the experiences into a foundation of knowledge. This symbol also pays tribute to understanding hierarchy and privilege. His interpretation delves into the dynamic interplay between consciousness and the mind, particularly exploring how our perception of reality is shaped by our mental processes. So how fascinating is it that the sun and the moon are illuminating this magical basket, holding our collective psyche, and shining light into the hidden aspects of our collective consciousness that both Pluto in Aquarius and Neptune in Pisces are brilliantly adept for. But what is emerging is the question. Well, let's face it. The magic begins to reveal itself when we give our attention back to the true rulers of this show, Venus and Jupiter in Taurus. First, let's quickly meet their archetypal expressions because the Sabian symbolism of their conjunction could not be more appropriate of a fit. Venus is known as the planet of love and additionally represents the energy of beauty, harmony, and attraction in astrology. It governs our relationships, values, and desires for pleasure and aesthetic enjoyment. Venus encourages us to seek harmony and balance in our lives, both in our personal relationships and our surroundings. It also influences our sense of self-worth, creativity, and appreciation for art and beauty. Jupiter, on the other hand, is known as the planet of luck, embodying expansive and abundant energy in astrology. It also represents growth, optimism, and wisdom. Jupiter encourages us to broaden our understanding of the world, explore new opportunities, seek deeper truths, and embrace a sense of optimism and faith in the future. It governs areas such as knowledge, spirituality, travel, and higher learning. When Jupiter and Venus conjunct in Taurus, their energies blend in a harmonious and abundant way, relating to the themes portrayed by this fixed earth sign, which emphasizes stability, sensual pleasure, and material abundance. So let's take a moment to indulge ourselves in the ways this conjunction can manifest in our lives. This conjunction amplifies the desire for comfort, luxury, and indulgence. There is a strong emphasis on enjoying the finer things in life, such as good food, beautiful surroundings, and sensual experiences. Jupiter's expansive energy combines with Venus's focus on wealth and prosperity, creating opportunities for financial growth and abundance. This conjunction may bring fortunate financial opportunities, increased income, and successful investments. Venus governs relationships and social connections, while Jupiter expands and magnifies whatever it touches. When these two planets conjoin in Taurus, there's an emphasis on building strong and supportive relationships and enjoying the company of loved ones in luxurious settings. Taurus is associated with artistic expression and creativity, and Venus rules over aesthetics and beauty. With Jupiter's influence, this conjunction can inspire creativity and artistic endeavors, which can lead to the creation of beautiful and valuable works of art. Taurus is a sign that values stability, security, and tangible assets. So when Jupiter and Venus unite in Taurus, there is an opportunity to clarify and strengthen personal values and beliefs, particularly those related to material wealth, beauty, and pleasure. Overall, the energy of Jupiter and Venus conjunct in Taurus is one of abundance, pleasure, and growth. It encourages us to enjoy the beauty and richness of life, while also cultivating a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the blessings we receive. So with all that in mind, how hilarious is it that together, this pair will be representing the Sabian symbol, a peacock parading on an ancient lawn. And just like it sounds, this symbol suggests a scene of grandeur and refinement, as well as a connection to history and tradition. Symbolically, the peacock is often associated with beauty, pride, and regal splendor. Its colorful feathers and graceful demeanor evoke qualities of elegance on display. Interpreting the symbol within the context of Taurus, an earth sign known for its stability, practicality, and appreciation of beauty and comfort, we could see this representing a moment of serene confidence and self-assurance. The ancient lawn could symbolize a sense of rootedness and tradition or connection to the past, suggesting that the situation associated with this symbol may be drawing upon timeless wisdom or inherited knowledge. Let me say that again. Drawing upon timeless wisdom or inherited knowledge. Just hang on to that for now. So overall, a peacock parading on an ancient lawn can be seen as a symbol of poise, pride, and appreciation of timeless beauty and tradition, offering a sense of grace and dignity in one's expression or endeavors. Now, this messaging gets even more ironic when we consider the human design gate and gene key being activated by this conjunction. Okay, but first let me explain what the heck I'm talking about now. So the gene keys are a system developed by Richard Rudd and expands upon the human design system. And for those of you that have never heard of human design before, it is a system that combines the elements of astrology, the I Ching, Kabbalah, and the chakra system to create a comprehensive map of an individual's energetic makeup and life path. It was developed by Ra Uru in 1987, who received the information during a mystical experience. The way it resonates personally for me is like, astrology is the blueprint of my life's purpose. Human design is my owner's manual. And the gene keys are like the journey to get there. The gene keys divide the energetic themes of each gate into 3 levels of frequency: the shadow, the gift, and the city. Here we see gate 8, known in human design as the gate of contribution, and the gene key frequency bands of mediocrity as the shadow, style at the gift level, and the city of exquisiteness. Now, I just have to say, despite being completely oblivious to this fact at the time, I just happened to name my video that opened this lunation cycle the exquisite energy of the Taurus new moon. And it also happens to be my attraction sphere in my gene keys chart, which is determined by your unconscious moon's placement in your human design chart. But anyway, let's see what message this gene key has for us about this transit. The shadow of mediocrity of gene key 8 refers to the tendency for individuals to settle for less than their full potential, to conform to societal norms, and to avoid taking risks or pursuing excellence. It represents a state of being stuck in the middle, neither excelling nor failing, but rather existing in a state of stagnation or complacency. The middle frequency of this gene key represents the transformational aspect, and in the context of style, it suggests the potential for individuals to elevate their expression and creativity, to develop their own unique sense of style and flair. Rather than conforming to mediocrity, this aspect encourages individuals to embrace their individuality and express themselves authentically in their own unique way. At the highest frequency of gene key 8 lies exquisiteness. This represents the state of transcending mediocrity and embracing excellence in all aspects of life. It's all about refining one's skills, talents, and expressions to the highest level of mastery. Exquisiteness involves a deep appreciation for beauty, elegance, and perfection, and inspires individuals to strive for greatness in everything that they do. So in summary, gene key 8 is inviting us to transcend mediocrity and embrace our own unique style and expression. It's encouraging us to strive for excellence and exquisiteness in all aspects of life, cultivating a deeper appreciation for beauty, creativity, and self-expression along the way. And if you ask me, that seems to match the image of the peacock on an ancient lawn quite exquisitely. And basically everything else that we've been talking about today as well. Okay, but here's when things really start to titillate the mind. Well, at least in my opinion. So get this. The Jupiter-Venus conjunction happens to be taking place in the Pleiades star cluster, known as the Seven Sisters. The Pleiades sit at around 28 degrees of Taurus to 0 degrees of Gemini. The Pleiades cluster is one of the most prominent and easily recognizable star clusters in the night sky, and has been observed and revered by cultures around the world for thousands of years. In many traditions, this constellation is associated with themes of femininity, sisterhood, community, and collective consciousness. This star cluster is often seen as a symbol of unity and inspiration, associated with building a healthy community, learning to live off the land in a harmonious way, and creating a sense of love and belonging. The brightest star in the Pleiades is Alcyone, and she is often viewed to be the female equivalent of Sirius. Just like Sirius, Alcyone is a high vibrational star that is extremely powerful and potent. If we think of Ceres as like our spiritual sun, then Alcyone would be like our spiritual moon. The Pleiades are often associated with feminine energy and qualities. Alcyone is also said to bring waves of feminine energy to Earth as a way of reminding us to tap into these qualities, such as intuition, creativity, nurturing, and emotional sensitivity. We can understand why the star cluster carries such associations when we consider the mythology. In Greek mythology, the Pleiades were the 7 daughters of Titan Atlas and the sea nymph Pleione. Side note, the term nymph has another important clue to this overarching story, so just stick that in the back of your mind for now. Anyway, the sisters caught the eye of the hunter Orion, who pursued them relentlessly. So to protect them, Zeus transformed the sisters into stars, placing them in the night sky as the constellation of the Pleiades. In Japanese culture, the Pleiades are known as Subaru, and this celestial unity inspired the logo of the Japanese automobile manufacturer Subaru. Now, while the Pleiades in Greek mythology was a group of 7 sisters, only 6 of the sister stars are easily visible from Earth. So the 6 stars represent the 6 companies that merged to form Subaru. The Pleiades are also associated with themes of transcendence and spiritual evolution, and they can symbolize the journey towards higher consciousness and enlightenment, representing a path towards spiritual growth and transformation. And when planets in the sky align with the Pleiades in a natal chart or through transit or progression, they can activate the themes associated with this star cluster. This can be a time of heightened intuition, inspiration, and spiritual awakening, as well as a period of connecting with one's inner wisdom and creative potential. In esoteric and spiritual context, the Pleiades are home to many advanced civilizations that exist in different dimensions from 3D to 9D. Pleiadians are often revered as a source of spiritual wisdom and enlightenment, which is why so many Pleiadians have been known to connect through many channelers, bringing forth the wisdom of ascended masters, spiritual guides, or higher dimensional beings, who offer guidance and support to those on the path of spiritual evolution. The Pleiades star system holds a special place in my heart, as awakening me to my own star lineage. The Pleiadian starseed is one of the most common starseeds on the planet right now. Starseeds are souls from various parts of the universe that have chosen to incarnate on Earth at this specific moment in time to assist humanity in the spiritual transformation that's taking place on the planet as we enter the age of Aquarius. Pleiadian starseeds have a very important mission on Earth. They are here to help humanity raise its vibrations and consciousness as we transition from the 3D reality of fear, separation, and duality to the 5D reality of love, unity, and harmony. Pleiadian starseeds do this by being an example of love, peace, and joy. They radiate their high-frequency energy wherever they go and influence others positively, sharing their wisdom, knowledge, and gifts. They teach, heal, create, and communicate their messages of hope, inspiration, and empowerment. Through activating their DNA codes and abilities, they awaken their dormant potential and remember who they truly are. They access their multidimensional nature and abilities, such as telepathy, clairvoyance, or manifestation. Connecting with their star family and other starseeds, they form a network of lightworkers who support each other and work together for the highest good of all. Now, it's interesting to note that when I first learned of Pleiadian starseeds, my brain seemed to automatically associate Pleiadian energy with Lemuria, the mystical lost continent said to have been a highly spiritual society that eventually sank beneath the Pacific Ocean due to cataclysmic events. So now maybe you too can see how that Sabian symbol for the Taurus new moon seems to be emerging. Tales of the lost city of Lemuria and the lost city of Atlantis have captivated our minds for centuries, and the idea of Atlantis in particular has become deeply lodged in popular culture. But where did the idea of these lost realms come from? And what hidden truths can we learn from these captivating mythologies? Well, let's explore further and see just how connected all of this is. So next, I want to share with you a compilation of clips from a recent video from the Stargate Experience YouTube channel, hosting Lee Carroll, the channeler of Cryon, and his partner Monica Morani. So let's watch it together and see just how the popular notion of a sunken civilization really is just the tip of the iceberg. Or shall I say mountain?
Because we are living in a shift where something is going to happen with that 24th pair. Here is what Cryon says. We are multidimensional beings. So Cryon says this multidimensional 24th pair of chromosomes is from the stars. This is the awakening set. This is what's going to happen. It was built for you for now. It's going to come online somehow, some way, and do something.
But what I love, Lee, is when I start looking at the information from Cryon and then doing some research, what I find ends up blowing me away. Cryon said Pleiadians came 200,000 years ago, where the Pleiadian star mothers were the ones that created the new human, where they took 24 pairs of chromosomes and blended them in a way to create 23 biological pairs that we see and the 24th pair that Lee talks about, so that you still had all of the biological information from the 24 pairs being expressed onto the 23. So that in itself is mind-blowing. But when science begins to see and report things that line up with this information from Cryon, that's when I get really excited. And so there was a book written by Greg Braden called originally Human by Design. It's been retitled to The Science of Self-Empowerment. But if we look at the title, Human by Design, and what is in the contents of this book, something took place 200,000 years ago that science has noted within us and our ancestors. 200,000 years ago, there was chromosome 2 that appears to have a telomere to telomere fusion that took place within the middle of that chromosome, which means 2 chromosomes were spliced and put together, suggesting it was done with intent. And the result of that chromosome 2, which appears to have overlapping functions merge and blend together, is that this is when science also reported that our ancestors got an increased brain size, that we had empathy, that we now had memory learning, and other factors that then defined humanity on the track we now find itself. And so that implies that everything we could possibly need is already within us. Welcome to the 24th chromosome pair that came from the stars, that is multi-dimensional, and currently there are no instruments on the planet that can see and measure this. But there will come a day where this can be seen and measured.
Because here, this has nothing to do with Lemuria, you wouldn't think, but everything to do with validation of what we're talking about. The question was, tell me about your creation story. I want to know from this Kiro shaman, from all those thousands of years, what his ancestors said. Tell me about your creation story. And he paused and he sat back and he had to think about whether or not he could say the word. And I knew something was coming. I knew that I had struck some kind of chord with him. And he smiled. By the way, we then taught with him later, I think mainly because of this question. He sized me up and knew I was okay because I'd asked that question. And here was his answer, translated from Kiro to Spanish, to English. And the answer was one word: intervention. That's the creation story that we're talking about in Lemuria.
And for those who follow the Cryon work and the revelation of the 24th chromosome pair, Cryon has also revealed that up until now, it has been dormant, because it's been waiting for a shift in consciousness to become, I even hesitate using the word activated because that's overused. But essentially it has been waiting for it to be activated, awakened, brought online, whatever terminology, concept you want to put to it. It's been waiting for the shift in consciousness, the collective shift of humanity, deciding that it wants to go on the path of cooperation, of harmony, of peace, of compassion, of kindness. And this collective consciousness has decided, yes, we are wanting to go on that path. And so now we have a system that's always been in place, triggered and ready to come online. And I feel move us into the next era that humanity is going to step into. And Jules, I love what you shared, because I feel this is what you're also feeling, is this 24th pair, I believe, is going to become more present within us. And that's why I feel that you are in Maui now, tapping into that energy, and that we are doing this program today. It's almost like it's been a divine appointment organized by Alcazar and Cryon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually not even going to be here still. So this wasn't planned, but now we get to do this rainbow bridge from Maui to Mount Shasta, which, as Lemuria slowly sank into the ocean, this is part of the Hawaiian story, is that Kahuna Kalei told us their ancestors went off in 8 different directions, and Shasta in California is one of the places that they went. So that's also why we're doing this particular collaboration in the energy of the mountain.
And also, coming back to the 24th chromosome, Alcazar doesn't talk about it as the chromosome, but in the meditations that we do, he almost always says that these energies are starting to reactivate your higher dimensional DNA. And so it's coming through in a different way, but there's this alignment. And that's one of the things that I really love about the way that Lee brings through Cryon and that we bring through Alcazar. The explanations come in different words, but they align beautifully together.
Totally.
And so if we are the living expression of a Lemurian energy, a Lemurian Akash, then let us pose the question to Cryon. Dear Cryon, please tell us, what is the task of the new Lemurian?
Greetings, dear ones. I am Cryon of Magnetic Service. I have a question for you before I answer any question. Dear old soul watching this, what are you feeling right now? For those of you who don't even claim to be old souls, did you tune in to see the weird people? Or is there more? Did you come across this because something rings true to you about the information of Lemuria? And if that is you, I will tell you something right now. Welcome to the Earth that was predicted back in 1989, when both my work started and the work of Alcazar started. This is the reason we came. Welcome to an Earth that you arrived for. Welcome to a time that seems like it would be strange, filled with strife and war, when we say that it is an awakening time of peace. Welcome to a light that is shining so bright on this planet that all the dirt is starting to show for the first time ever. It has never been like this before. Are you awakening to this? I want to take you someplace. The two of us, just the two of us. I want you to go back with me a long, long time to this place called Lemuria. And there is a part of you, a consciousness of you, or perhaps an ancestral part of you, who is with me there. Come with me back to this island where an angel stood in front of you when you were a child and taught you the glory of your soul, the magnificence of God, the way things work on this, your soul planet, the place that you are meant to come to. Can you relate to that? And the energy that flowed into you even as a youngster from this star mother, this eternal being, that energy was absorbed and flowed right into that which you are now calling the 24th pair chromosomes. This 24th pair, dear ones, is more than just a memory bank. It carried with it not just information. You were being given the essence of your soul, the beauty and the compassion and the kindness of the way all things work, put right into you, so that someday you would be that angel. That someday, when this 24th pair would start to awaken, it would change your Akashic lineage forever. What I'm telling you is there's more here than you think. The task of the Lemurian, number one, cognize it, understand it, believe it, realize that is the magnificence of you. Number two, allow for the idea that it's starting to awaken with your permission to change you today, to heal you today, to connect you to the stars today. Oh, there is so much here. The task is to allow this information to blossom within you. And there is no doctrine, dear ones, and there is no master, dear ones. There is only love. That's it. What a concept that humanity would awaken, not to a doctrine or a way of worship, but to the love of spirit. What an idea. That's the task of the Lemurian. I'm in love with all of you, dear ones, for the effort for you to watch this, to be interested, and to sit back and ask yourself, could this really be true? I have touched some today where you might then ask that of yourself. Go ahead. That's the first thing that has to happen. You look at your own divinity and you ask the question, yes or no. What does your intuition say right now? And so it is.
Are you speechless like I am? Now are you beginning to see how deeply connected all of this is? It's wild. Like, so cool, right? What one chooses to believe is their own prerogative, a freedom that is granted to every individual. But if Lemuria, or the idea of being a starseed, resonates with you, then I recommend you go watch that whole video, because they offer a beautiful meditation that will help you to awaken the parts of you that you forgot are you. So I'll make sure that I'll add that link too. Like I said, the magic of the ancient world is awakening, and it is here to assist and guide humanity as we enter the new world. Isn't this amazing how each part of this cosmic tale just seems to be falling into place? telling the story of each unique chapter relating to and setting up the next? Well, next up is when all of the pieces come together to clarify the big picture. Now I'm going to read from Richard Rudd's work on the gene keys. See, gene key 55 is the literal key to it all. But I'm not going to read the full description because it's like really long and detailed, but I've pulled out and arranged all of the information to seamlessly showcase how all of this fits together like a perfectly divine puzzle. But before I read this, I'm gonna get comfortable over in my swinging chair. So let me get set up so that we can wrap this thing up already. So not only did my battery die, but I realized that I wanted to rework this a bit more too. So it's a new day, hence the new look. Now, I tried my best to limit the amount of information to only the key points, but there's just so much depth and richness to all this that I could only boil it down so much. But I promise, you'll be amazed if you just stay with me through to the end. It's just so good. But if you've made it this far, then you are definitely meant to hear this. So let's dive in. The purpose of this book, as the title states, to unlock this higher purpose hidden in your DNA. The greater self, the cosmic part of each of us that transcends our mortal body, has lain secretly hidden inside humanity for aeons. Up until now, the inner journey has been for a select few, those bold adventurers and courageous pioneers of the inner planes. Because of this, our true divinity has seemed far away from the common man, whose more immediate concern has been to survive and manage life in the external world. But all of this is about to change. In the midst of all cultures, keys have been left that speak to us about the coming time of the great change. Humanity is feeling this change now because it's taking place now. Within a relatively short evolutionary period, the world we are living in will be transformed into a world that most of us consider pure fantasy. If you are hearing these words, your inner guidance has seen fit to remind you of this extraordinary, prescient event, either to confirm or trigger your own personal process of awakening. Therefore, allow yourself to confirm your own journey, which has brought you to this exact point in time, right now, as you are hearing these words. Contemplation of the 55th gene key inevitably leads one to ponder the future of humanity and our planet. As we explore this gene key, we will look both at what is occurring to humanity now and what will occur at the time of the great change that lies ahead of us. We human beings are following different vectors through time and space, and each of our paths must at some point converge at this single point deep inside the body. There is a place inside your DNA whose sole purpose is to trigger this awakening. The 55th gene key and its sister transmission, the 22nd gene key, embody the most potent and profound message in this book. The 55th describes the evolutionary force moving from matter to spirit, and the 22nd describes the involutionary force moving from spirit to matter. Together, these two gene keys capture the quintessence of the great change. Generations of mythologists, folklorists, archaeologists, mystics, and historians have all spoken of another race of human beings that existed before our modern recorded history. Indeed, all of our human myths and fairy tales are encoded with information about a lost golden age that was extinguished or lost in some form of vast cataclysm, deluge, or flood. To the psychologists, these myths have always been seen as a metaphorical or archetypal psychic yearning to return to the security of the womb. But what if they are actually folk memories held within our ancestral DNA? The 55th gene key has much to say about this. Although many ancient cultures have devised methods of mapping vast spans and cycles of time, one pattern holds true at the simplest and most mythical level: the trinary patterns. When we apply this mapping to the whole of human evolution, we see our human story depicted as 3 great aeons, vast spans of time marked by 4 major leaps in consciousness. The 3 aeons and their 4 turning points describe the evolutionary arc of our entire planetary consciousness. Essentially, this threefold pattern describes 3 distinct evolutionary stages, culminating in a 4th transient stage, a tetrahedral geometry of consciousness. This is also known as the Merkaba star. And the top tetrahedron is said to represent masculine energy, which stands for logic and rationality. And the bottom tetrahedron represents feminine energy, which stands for emotion and intuition. The top can also represent the universe, while the bottom represents Earth. This sacred geometry has so much significance to all of this, so just watch how it keeps coming back into play. In the great pattern of the 3 aeons lies another pattern based on 7 sub-stages, known as the 7 root races. In this theory of involution, each root race represents a major stage in our planetary development. In esoteric tradition, the root races are often seen as literal races of human beings who preceded our modern human. Within the Gene Keys synthesis, the root races are viewed as the unveiling of the subtle layers of the living spirit of Gaia, our Earth. In other words, from the involutionary perspective, all aspects of the form of our planet, and indeed our universe, are seen as being imbued with levels of consciousness, from the densest mineral to the subtlest of gas. The earliest root races thus represent the subtlest forms of divine consciousness as it steps down its frequency in order to enter into physical manifestation, the first aeon. At a certain point in the evolutionary story of our planet, consciousness enters so deeply into the material realm that it forgets itself entirely, the second aeon. Then comes the remembering of the mythic return to paradise, as consciousness transforms the material realm, integrating all dimensions back into itself, thus completing its epic evolutionary arc, the third aeon. The 7 root races also relate directly to the 7 planes of reality and the 7 subtle bodies of the aura, thus giving us both a narrative and a timeline for the involutionary stages of consciousness. The first aeon, preparing the garden of Gaia. Corresponding to the monadic body, the ultimate source of divinity, the Polarian root race represents divine idea, or will, before it descends into form and experiences separation. The second root race, the Hyperborean, relates to the atmic body, which is the body of light. This refers to the coalescing of our planet out of the minerals and elements from the sun. The second aeon, the flowering and the fall. The third root race, known as the Lemurian, represents the birth of animate life as it emerged from the waters and populated the earth. This was the Eden phase, in which divine essence manifested its superabundance as all the kingdoms of nature. The Lemurian consciousness of our planet was and still remains a single unified being existing on the Buddhic plane, known as the plane of ecstasy. This is also the plane of many Devic realms, the manifestations of consciousness inherent in all living forms. It was during the Lemurian phase that the first human beings were conceived and born. The fourth root race, the Atlantean, represents humanity before the fall. We modern humans were separated from our true source by a series of cataclysms, which have become mythically known as the fall. The Atlantean root race and its culture and environment were completely obliterated, and evolution was literally rebooted and begun again in a new and different direction. However, Atlantean consciousness existed and still exists on the causal plane, which is the plane of archetypes, the quantum language that lies beyond the logical mind. The original Atlantean consciousness, unlike the modern human, was centered in the solar plexus and did not experience itself as separate from the source of all life, but was the very heart and mind of Gaia herself. The third aeon, the fifth race and the Kali Yuga. Our current root race, the Aryan, is now coming towards the end of Kali Yuga, the epoch after the fall. The Aryan consciousness exists on the mental plane, and our main instrument of awareness is our continually evolving brain. Ironically, our greatest gift, our ability to reason, gives us the illusion that we are separate from each other and our environment. However, the third aeon is about the long walk home. Ever since we fell from grace, we humans have been seeking the way home. We seek through science, we seek through religion, and above all, we seek through love. The Great Change and the sixth race. The time of the Great Change is now upon us, as the fifth root race prepares to give way to the sixth root race, the Trivian. Time itself appears to be speeding up. The sixth race will be triggered through the 55th gene key and its mutation within the solar plexus center, the seat of human emotion. The Trivian race heralds the reawakening of this center and will allow human beings to experience once again the universal quantum field connecting all beings. This reawakening is not a retrograde movement into a past golden age, but a new integration of the 3 lower planes, the physical, astral, and mental, into their higher counterparts, the causal, budic, and atmic. The 7th and final root race, the Pangaian, really lies beyond words. It represents the integration of all the kingdoms of Gaia into one single vibrating presence. It is where spirit and matter become one, where the divine monadic essence shines through the physical plane, allowing it to ascend. It is the kingdom of heaven coming to earth. We are entering into an era of great beauty. It will be a transient era in which creativity will rule and life itself will be experienced as art. Beginning in the year 2027, our planet will begin a gradual process of falling silent into a state of awe. This time will mark the phase of recreating Eden, which never left the planet, but remained as an energetic blueprint. At a certain point in our future beyond 2027, we will finally discover the wonder of simply being. There will be nothing left to do on Earth but enjoy the garden, something our species has not yet managed to do. As we transit into this coming phase, particularly in the years following 2027, there are many things about the world that will change. Because of the nature of mutation, there will be sudden quantum leaps that are followed by long periods of integration. All change on a social level takes time. Up until now in human history, awareness has been confined to the individual human form. We experience awareness as movement, as feeling, and as thought. Unless someone reaches a heightened citic state, they cannot access awareness outside of their body. Down the centuries, much has been written, spoken, and taught concerning the nature of higher consciousness. We are now entering an era in which more and more people will have direct access to an experience of true higher consciousness. We are talking about a genetic mutation that will slowly colonize our species. Higher consciousness is literally going to breed the victim consciousness out of humanity. In other words, the old human will literally be bred out of humanity. People who bring the Siddhic frequencies into the world also take into themselves the collective shadows of their ancestral lines. These are the lightworkers, empaths, and starseeds of the world. True healing is connected to our ancestral DNA, and in order for a single person to be in perfect health, their entire genetic lineage must be burned clean. This cleansing takes place through the presence of the siddhis as they manifest in the world. Each time a siddhi manifests through someone, it sends a shockwave of purity back down the entire genetic fractal line. We stand on a cusp of a siddhic supernova. The number of those in whom the siddhis are manifest will very shortly increase in the world as a great incarnation takes place on the physical plane. Now, listen to this. This incarnation represents the third aspect of the Holy Trinity, the divine feminine spirit. However, this incarnation will not be a single being. It will be a collective spirit using a specific constellation. Oh gosh. Using a specific constellation of beings, each occupying a core fractal. I don't think that this is what he meant, but to me, that sounds a lot like a Seven Sisters reference. The Pleiades constellation? Just saying. The process of the incarnation of the Divine Feminine will last many generations, but its final result will be the purification of all the fractal lines throughout humanity, resulting in the burning up of the collective karma stored in the human DNA, and the eventual eradication of all disease on the physical plane. Within the spectrum of consciousness, the linguistic matrix underpinning the 64 gene keys, the 55th gift is unique. When you look down the columns of words that represent the frequencies of each gift and siddhi, you will see that the word for the 55th gift, freedom, is the same as the word for the siddhi. This is the only gene key where this occurs. There are many dimensions to the 55th shadow of victimization, but what you come to realize while contemplating the gift and siddhi of freedom, true freedom has nothing to do with how we spend our time on the material plane. True freedom is not an effect. It is a kind of ever-expanding spaciousness that arises spontaneously inside you as you come to understand how deeply victimized you really are by your own core beliefs. There are two main phases to the awakening, triggered by the 55th gift. The first phase is represented by this rising up of mass consciousness out of the shadows of victim consciousness. When a person is free from the shadow state, they become a creative conduit for life itself. They also begin to fulfill their true destiny within the whole. The final destiny of the whole is represented by the 50th siddhi and the 6th siddhi, harmony and peace. This means that as a person begins to do what they love to do in life, they begin to co-create these conditions on the physical plane. This word, freedom, is truly a dimensionless word. As we begin this process of transcending our shadows, miracles can occur in our lives. Freedom is the spirit of the 55th gift. It is the spirit of humanity. It is evident that humanity will eventually become linked together by a single pervading spirit, in much the same way as we are linked together today on the material plane through the internet. The creation of the electronic World Wide Web is a precursor of what is to come at a genetic level. The nature of this human spirit is freedom, which means that freedom will become the only real human agenda. The very force that has driven man to where he is now, the force of fear, will be gone. Money is essentially a physical expression of victim consciousness. It represents human fear. Our relationship to money is therefore our relationship to fear. Only money that is given or received unconditionally has no charge attached. As money is handled in a cleaner way, it will become energetically laundered and manifest one of the great cosmic laws, that to give is to receive. The concept of the shift in financial systems can be studied in further depth through Gene Key 45. As the highest aspects of the 45th city comes into play, money itself will eventually come to an end. When this finally occurs, it will be the greatest symbol of true freedom that our planet has ever manifested, and it will inspire a worldwide celebration, the like of which has never been known. My intuition tells me that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that took place at the end of April is what seeded this shift that will unfold over time, creating a world based in a sense of financial freedom. How amazing does that sound? Okay, now I have to admit how I was guided to connect all of these pieces in the first place. So for my entire life, like as long as I can remember, before I even had to worry about it, I have prayed for a life of financial freedom. And I noticed that my chart was interacting with these lucky transits like really well. So honestly, I became obsessed researching astrological synchronicities involved in charts of lottery winners. And through that process, I began seeing this bigger story playing out that is so far beyond me. Yet at the same time, my chart is showing how intimately involved I am as an individual. So I'm not going to get too deep into all of that right now. Like I literally have a whole page, a whole list of synchronicities, but I do want to mention a few points because it tells the story of how this video came to be, and it's just too special not to be shared. So I'm just going to quickly list out a few of these synchronicities that are showing up right now. So let's start with this Jupiter-Venus conjunction. It's conjunct my vertex at 27 degrees Taurus. And that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happened at 21 degrees Taurus, and it trined my natal sun and my solar return Venus, which are both at 21 degrees Capricorn. And it also conjunct my progressed descendant, which is at 21 degrees Taurus. Transiting Pluto is conjunct my natal Venus, both at 2 degrees Aquarius. My progressed Venus is conjunct my natal Mars at 17 degrees Sagittarius, which is in my second house. Most of my second house is in the sign Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. But the cusp of this house is in the sign Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto and traditionally ruled by Mars. Transiting Mars is in his own domain of Aries, and on the day of this full moon will happen to be at the same degree as my natal Mars, 17 degrees, and is also conjunct 2 major lottery asteroids, and forming a wide orb conjunction to my part of fortune, which is at 11 degrees in this sign, which nods to Aquarian energy, the 11th house of your hopes and dreams, and the Star Tarot card, which happens to be card number 17 in the tarot. So you can see how so much of this is revolving around my Venus and Mars placements, right? Well, this just blows my mind. See, because the last video I created was all about gender. I was inspired to delve into that topic because both Venus and Mars, the planets that represent divine feminine and divine masculine, are transiting through their own signs of Taurus and Aries during the month of May. But what's so crazy about all of this is that at the time I was making that video, it was unbeknownst to me how all of this is related to this bigger story involving this mutation, and I was especially oblivious to its connection to the Lemurian lineage. Honestly, it was only when I was researching for that video did I learn about the deeper symbolism of the Merkaba star in relation to our light body and unity consciousness. In that video, this geometry is referenced in relation to masculine and feminine energy, but now I see how this sacred geometry is related to our whole evolution as a species. So in this case, the Merkaba literally became my North Star that I followed to get me here. See, so the gene keys have a process for understanding your own chart, which is divided into 3 sequences, one of which is called the Venus sequence, and it's made up of your unconscious and conscious Mars and Venus placements. So with so much relevance about these planets coming up for me, I wanted to revisit those teachings. And while reading the Venus sequence book, I came across this image. And it references gene keys 22 and 55. So naturally, I followed my curiosity, and whoa, was I not expecting it to lead me here? But now check this out. This is just mind-blowing. I can't get over how crazy this is. So that Venus sequence also includes your unconscious moon placement, which is known as your attraction sphere. And like I mentioned earlier, mine just so happens to be the same gene key where Venus and Jupiter will conjunct. But not only that, if I remove all the other aspects being created in my chart and focus in, look at the aspect pattern this transit makes in my chart. Like, what? I can't make this shit up. Okay, but let's just take a quick moment to look a little deeper at what's actually happening here. So this Star of David aspect is being created by a grand water trine involving my 29th degree Cancer MC, which just so happens to be considered the millionaire's degree in astrology. And this is only particular for 29 degrees in the sign of Cancer. And this connects with transiting Neptune in Pisces at 29 degrees. And this full moon, which is technically out of sign for the water trine, yet still applies. But what is exact by degree and element is the transiting asteroid named Destin, which is exactly how it sounds, an asteroid in astrology related to your destiny. And another interesting note is that my natal Destin sits in a wide orb conjunction with my natal Uranus and a tight opposition to my natal Jupiter. But now we see transit Destin exactly opposite this transit Jupiter, which is also conjunct my chart ruler as a Libra rising, Venus. And these two planets are currently forming a wide orb conjunction to Uranus. And this conjunction is part of the second grand trine, which is a grand Earth trine involving my 29 degree Capricorn IC, the astrological angle that is all about your family roots, which is conjunct my natal Venus and transiting Pluto, which are both at 2 degrees Aquarius. And had I not been researching lottery aspects, I wouldn't even know about this asteroid called Samadhi, which is the third point in this trine using my natal Samadhi asteroid, which is at 29 degrees Virgo. And theme appropriate, what does this asteroid represent? Samadhi means spiritual ecstasy and awakening. It can correlate with enlightenment and spiritual revelations, oneness, and experiencing deeper states of awareness. Its theme is one of uniting physical with spirit. It's referenced as the perfect union of the individualized soul with infinite spirit, a state of oneness, complete absorption. I'm just speechless. I can't even process how I feel about all that. But anyway, there is so much more to be said about Gene Key 55 and a mutation to our solar plexus, and how this will affect the way we process emotions and a major shift in gender dynamics and procreation. This video got too long, so I'm going to make a part 2 for that, but in the meantime, you should watch my Battle of the Sexes video, because not only will it validate components of what we talked about today, but will definitely lay the groundwork for what's to come. What's funny is I thought it was my best video to date, but it got like no views. But despite the views, now that I've uncovered all of this, I know just how spot on I was for creating it. But now I want to wrap this video up by sharing one more key symbol connecting all of this together. Remember when I said to mentally hold on to that term nymph as the sea nymph mother of the 7 sisters? Well, listen to what Richard Rudd writes about the symbolism of the dragonfly. It's the totem he uses to describe Gene Key 55, and it's a subtle but prominent symbol that he uses on the cover of his book. See, it's right there, and it's right there. Now, I don't know about you, but I had no idea the life cycle of dragonflies. But the way Richard Rudd describes it is just beautiful. So I must share what he says, word for word. To understand the true nature of the coming awakening, one can find a beautiful parallel in the life cycle of the dragonfly. Dragonflies spend much of their early lives underwater. As underwater insects, they are known as nymphs, And unlike most pond insects, they do not have to come to the surface for air. For most of their lives, nymphs live totally underwater, where they are highly successful predators, feeding on anything from leaf litter to small fish. During this stage of its life, the nymph goes through a series of molts, stages of maturity in which it sheds its skin, but still remains a nymph. These stages of the insect's life can last several years, and during this time, it has no idea whatsoever of what kind of future lies ahead. It is undergoing a series of hidden mutations. Then, one day, all of a sudden, some sleeping gene deep within is triggered, and the nymph does something totally out of character. It finds the stalk of a nearby plant and climbs out of the water. For the first time in its life, it tastes air and direct sunlight. Once the nymph has left the safety of its underwater environment, the sunlight begins to work on it, catalyzing what will be its final molt. It is at this stage that the true magic occurs, as the advanced creature hidden within the nymph cracks the outer larval skin. Over a period of several hours, 4 crumpled wings appear, and the distinctive slender thorax begins to uncurl. What is of great metaphorical relevance at this stage concerns the element of water, as the emerging dragonfly rises out of the element of water and prepares to be reborn in a new life in the element of air. The water that still lies within its body becomes the key to the transformation process. Through a process of hydraulics, the water within the nymph's body is pumped into the emerging wings and thorax, causing them to unfurl and spread out for the first time. In other words, the dragonfly assumes its aerodynamic shape by the means of the water from its old life. This water is what drives its mutation from the nymph to dragonfly. As soon as all the water is expended and the dragonfly is fully extended, it takes to the air and begins its new life. The life cycle of the dragonfly is a perfect metaphor for the awakening of the 55th gift and city. The raw energy of your emotions becomes the vehicle for the unfurling of your future awareness. And once that awareness is born, your life exists forever on a higher plane. This metaphor also shows us that as a species, we must dive deeply into the emotional field where we will go through a series of mutations of which we are generally unaware. While we exist in the world of emotions, we will have little inkling of the life that lies ahead of us. When the 55th shadow finally mutates fully, the collective awakening will truly begin in earnest. And what did Richard say about the Lemurian root race? The third root race represents the birth of animate life as it emerged from the waters and populated the earth. This was the Eden phase in which divine essence manifested its superabundance as all the kingdoms of nature. Sounds a bit like a newly formed continent. Just saying. So as the great change comes to human beings, the ancient fear within us will subside, and we will hear a new kind of music. We will vibrate at higher frequencies that will chemically lift us free from our old genetic fears. We will become one with the music of life and experience the entire spectrum of emotions, from the light to the dark, without fear and without shame. This is a new kind of music for humans. There are no paths to follow and no need for systems or structures to keep us safe. Those old ways are leaving the world. The new human being will no longer try to escape the pure longing of life within him or her. We will no longer fear true freedom because we will operate from an awareness that is beyond the mind and its concerns about the future. Ultimate freedom has nothing to do with your life circumstances. It is the freedom of allowing the self to dissolve into the waves of the ocean. It is the freedom that is born through one's absolute trust in life. As a process, this may take hundreds or even thousands of years to reach its final phase. When it does, like the dragonfly, our entire planet will mutate to its next phase of evolution in another reality, represented by the 28th city of immortality, aka the Crystalla orb body, which I referenced in the Battle of the Sexes video, and I think maybe too in the video about the Aries solar eclipse. But anyways, that, my friends, is the future of our species. Well, I hope this not only gave you something to look forward to, but awakened you too to how united we truly are in this mysterious world we live in. If you enjoyed this cosmic exploration, please help spread the word by sharing it, and now give this video a thumbs up, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Sending you lots of love and light, And until next time, shine bright, star siblings. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe so I actually get to see you again.